World Wars I and II.
What history? Were the Fortes here then?
You were here, right? Yes, of course. Right, you were here in the early 1900s.
You told me you're sixth generation.
Last night.
You were sixth generation.
Last night, on the wall.
Right.
What'd you take? Photo something? This is the menu on the wall. Oh, it's 1910.
Let the record reflect we've reconvened. All members present, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. All right. Can I have a motion for the executive minutes of September 11th, 2023?
So moved.
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a motion for the regular minutes of September 11th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections or changes?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome all. Nice to have a nice turnout here and nice to be back here in person. I was away for our last meeting in preparation of my son's wedding, so he is now happily married, and thankfully he didn't get married in the last 5 days. It was a beautiful day, and the sun came back out today, so all is good. Earlier today, I attended the inauguration of Dr. Michael Alvertoni, who is the 9th president of Fairleigh Dickinson University, and it was an honor to welcome him, even if he never mentioned Madison and kept mentioning Florham Park for some reason, but we won't hold that against him. And then last night, the Madison area League of Women, Morristown area League of Women voters, along with NAACP and the Madison Eagle, held their Borough Council Candidate Forum in the courtroom downstairs. And I want to commend the candidates, Bob Landrigan, John Forte, Michael Martinez, and Melissa Honahan, for stepping forward to serve and getting up on the dais in the forum. It isn't easy, and but what was nice as I talked to the monitor, as I've heard in past years when the forums were held, the monitor was impressed with the questions that came from the Madison public, the answers from the candidates, and most importantly, the respect that everyone showed to each other. Madison has always stood above the rest in this area, so we should all be proud. But I want to touch on one of the discussion items that came up last night, and that was the status of the Madison Volunteer Ambulance Corps. The Corps has been serving Madison since 1954 with dedicated volunteers answering the call. And as with many organizations, they have struggled recently with recruiting volunteers, and the challenge in the past year or so has been managed through different means, but we need a long-term solution. The Borough, under leadership of Council members Bob Landrigan, serving as liaison to the Ambulance Corps, and Eric Range as a public safety liaison, along with Borough staff, have been working with the Ambulance Corps on a plan to restructure our 24/7 EMT coverage in a way that supports the Corps and recognizes their significant contribution to our community. The discussions that the Council has had up to date include contract and personnel issues that must be discussed in executive session. However, there is a funding ordinance tonight to pay off the remaining loan balance on their newest ambulance, along with a resolution to allow the Borough to look into EMT service options. And we anticipate we'll be rolling out the new plan shortly, hopefully, if not our next meeting, our second meeting in October. And as was mentioned last night on the dais, Madison provides great services to our residents, including having a professional fire department and dedicated dispatchers serving residents 24/7. Both are very rare in a town of our size. One service that should never be taken for granted is getting prompt response for when you dial 911. So we were working very diligently on this. And also I want to welcome, I always give a Drew update, so I want to welcome President Hillary Link to our meeting tonight. Thank you, Hillary, for joining us, and all those that have come out tonight. I know there was a mailer that went out to suggest you come and visit, so thank you for coming. And we're going to step down here and we have a major presentation and signing. So Nick Platt, please come forward. I don't see any other trustees.
And you want John also?
John Egan, but John Forte I do want to have come forward too. Boy, that's it. Microphone will do a, before we sit down, we'll...
Here, Mayor, we got one. Mayor, we got one.
As you know, this amazing building was a gift to Madison from Geraldine Rockefeller Dodge, sitting right, looking down upon us right behind me. And at the time she gave this building, she had the foresight to create a foundation, a trust to support the building for years to come, knowing that a beautiful building comes great responsibility. So the Hartley Dodge Trustees was born, and a partnership to keep this building as it is going was also born at that time. And Nick Platt, former mayor of Harding Township and good friend, and is the president of the trustees, is joining me tonight because I have a special presentation and a signing of our grant agreement. As we often say about the trustees, you only have one customer, and that is this building. But you set your very different priorities, and we've always talked about the priority for the borough is maintaining the basic things. You know, if this was a regular town hall, 5 years ago we would have taken jackhammers to the plaza, taken out all those granite slabs and poured concrete. But obviously that can't be done with this building. That was done with grants elsewhere. But our biggest thing that's been hanging out there since we did the renovation here has been the east wing. This great building has not been fully utilized since the police and fire moved out. And we finally have an opportunity to fully utilize the building. And it's been discussed in previous meetings, but to give you a little background on what's going to happen, our building code department will move from this level down to the lower level. So instead of having mud tracked through the building every time a contractor comes in and then someone has to clean it up, they'll come in the back door and take care of it. The main level will become home for the Madison Historical Society, a museum for Madison, opening up another part of this building. This building is a museum, but making it even greater. And the upper level will be converted to more offices that is needed for the borough operation. The biggest challenge is the cost to do that. The Madison Historical Society is giving us $500,000 to support it, but what put us over the top is a check that Nick Platt is about to hand to me that will represent a multi-year grant. We're about to sign the contracts. Standing next to me for a special reason is John Forte, who has worn multiple hats. He had served on the trustees, with the trustees until he was appointed to the council and had to step down. His leadership with the property management, looking at this building and the needs, managing and working with the great board, made this all possible. So John, thank you so much.
Before I present the check, I just want to give a little bit of a history here. When Geraldine Rockefeller, who was my great aunt, was building this, she reached out to her cousins, Nelson and David, who were building Rockefeller Center at the same time. So it was around 1932. And so if you look at this building in the 2,000-pound bronze doors as you walk in, a lot of the accents were brought in from her cousins, who just said, you know, you should use this stonemason, get your marble from here and there. And along the way, this building became much more opulent than she had intended. And then that was the decision. The cornerstone of this building is 1932. It was dedicated May 31st, 1935. It took that long. In the height of the Depression, and believe it or not, there was even a strike in Massachusetts where they were cutting the granite, and they went on strike, and then she broke the strike and just wanted to get the building done. But the opulence and the cost of maintaining a building of this size and this quality, she did not want to be a burden on the Madison taxpayer. So that's why in 1934 she formed the Hartley Dodge Foundation. And Marcellus Hartley Dodge was one of the first trustees. My mother then carried it on when he died in 1963. And then I went on many years after that. So the foundation is set up to maintain the architectural integrity of the building. We don't pay for janitorial services. We don't pay for new boilers. We just make sure that every single thing that takes place in this building is done at the same quality that it was done 90 years ago. So before I present this check to the mayor, I want to say something about John Forte. Every now and then we have a vacancy on the foundation board, not very often, but Janet Foster, after years, and she was once our president, decided to retire. We then went out and started interviewing people. And when John Forte came in, and after we were finished an hour conversation, the question was not whether he was appropriate for the job, but whether he'd take it. We were just blown away with his skills and his dedication. And since he's been on the board, he became chair of the building department. And one of the most exciting projects besides and the plaza, and he was able to bring in a new historical architect, Annabelle, that at his insistence, and we went along with it because he was just so convincing, and it turned out to be the right move. We are going to be working on the bell tower, but I think one of the more exciting projects is if you go into Penn Station and you look at the Monahan train station, we hired the same lighting consultant that did Carnegie Hall, but they just finished the Monahan train station, and it's called OVI. We paid a lot of money to have them come here, and they just were extraordinarily impressed with the building. But at some point in the next, I would say, 12 months, this building will be provided the lighting that it deserves. So at night, you'll see the bell tower will be lit. And also with the technology of LED, I think if you go by the Monahan, they have it purple sometimes, but I think there would actually be a light show on New Year's Eve. And we do have a horn upstairs that the other one had broken. And when they moved over to the new public safety building, the fire chief found in a cardboard box with some wood shavings a duplicate horn. And this horn is capable of being heard for 6 miles. And we have 4 or 5 compressors upstairs, and they're turned on December 31st in the morning, and they get the compression up. And John Forte is sort of an honor that we let John ring it 2 years ago, and I think that you're going to be also set up to ring it this year. So with that, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of the Hartley Dodge Foundation Board to present this check to the mayor. And it's a big number, but it's a very important building.
Okay, we're going to sit down, and before you go, Nick, I can't cash this check, so you got to sign the contract here. I also want to make a quick shout out to, back in the corner there is Tyler Merson, who is our kind of our jack of all trades, hired through the trustees, and he has been, like this building, a treasure, and he has taken it to heart to really take care of the building. Along with Russ Brown, our building code official, is another person that really has loved this building so much, puts his heart and soul and makes it a special place.
So one of the other value added was John being able to identify Tyler. Tyler, it's been a remarkable opportunity to get to know you, and the work that you are doing here is just going to make this more magnificent. And thank you for that. And thank you, John.
And as we sign, I'm going to do one last shout out, and that is to another trustee, John Egan, for his leadership on his part to work with his contract, work with the full board to make this happen. And now we can make it official. Well, I think that's a good day's work, so let's call it a note. We will now move on to reports from committees. Community Affairs, Council President Hoover.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Downtown Development Commission and Director of Business Development, Bottle Hill Day is Saturday, October 7th. I would mark that on your calendars. It's thousands of people that come to visit Madison, and the whole town, the whole downtown is covered with people and vendors and music. Final presentation for the festival is underway. A last call for sponsors and vendors was sent out. If you want to participate but still need to submit your paperwork, please contact Lisa Ellis at 973-245-3493 or ddc@rosenet.org. Please visit the all terrific vendors at the Madison Farmers Market on Thursdays at Dodge Field from 1 to 6 p.m. The season continues through November 16th and will feature live music daily, weekly. From the Chamber of Commerce, the Madison Car Show is scheduled for Saturday, October 7th. There'll be no rain date. Scarecrows decorated by the businesses will be displayed in Waverly Place from October 18th through November 1st. Halloween Parade and Magic Show is scheduled for Saturday, October 28th from 12:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. Taste of Madison has been scheduled for Monday, March 4th at the Madison Community Hotel, the Madison Hotel. This is a terrific event that features all the vendors in town. The Madison Community Arts Center. The Summit Film Society resumes its film series at MCAC with Radical Wolf on Friday, October 6th at 7:30 p.m. A new literary organization has joined the weekly lineup, the weekly Wednesday open mic lineup. Yes, and New Jersey Creates will offer writing seminars and an open mic every fourth Wednesday of the month. The organization is led by Isabel Gonzalez, the Poetry and Creative Officer at the Geraldine R. Dodge Foundation. So the next NJ Jazz Society concert will be presented on Sunday, October 8th at 3 p.m., featuring the Bill Mays Trio. The Baroque Orchestra of New Jersey will perform a classical contemporary concert on Sunday, October 15th at 4 p.m. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works and Engineering, Ms. Ehrlich.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's agenda includes a presentation from the engineering department, so we'll have an update from our borough engineer, Bob Vogel, himself in a few minutes, so I will dispense with the engineering update. Public Works notes that their preparations for Bottle Hill Day are all planned and they are set for the big day. We'd like to thank our Public Works crews in advance for the special effort they put into making Bottle Hill Day such a success every year. DPW installed 9 tons of asphalt patching throughout the borough in the last 2 weeks, and they also repaired a sewer pump on Prospect Street that failed. They'd like to remind residents to not flush dental floss or anything else that should be disposed of in the trash. Do not flush it in the toilet. And the mechanics department has prepped everything for leaf season and has started double-checking all the snow equipment for the winter season to come. The Shade Tree Management Board has an update for us on the ongoing tree replacement project on Main Street. The pear trees on Main Street have been identified as a major source of spreading invasive tree seeds, and they are dying from a disease called fire blight. So starting in 2020, the Shade Tree Management Board and the Department of Public Works initiated a multi-year tree replacement program of the pear trees on Main Street between Division Avenue and Prospect Street. Note that Main Street is a state road, but they do not plant street trees, so Madison is responsible for those. The program will continue this October with the removal of pear trees and planting 32 new trees, bringing the total of new trees on Main Street to 118. The replacements this fall will be a mix of elm, London plane, honey locust, maple, and sweet gum trees. I'd like to congratulate Sustainable Madison. Our Sustainable Madison Committee works towards sustainable actions in Madison, and they've earned the borough a silver level certification from Sustainable Jersey, the statewide accrediting organization. Thank you to Sustainable Madison Chair Kathy Cacavalli and the 6 committee members who earned a record number of 915 points this year, Madison's highest ever award, for leading sustainability actions in Madison, ranging from energy to food, natural resources, waste initiatives, health, water, buildings, and transportation, complete with community education and outreach. The Green Team works closely with borough staff, officials, and committees, and with other organizations in town to encourage, support, initiate, and report on sustainable actions and practices. So congratulations and thank you to Sustainable Madison for your great work. The Madison Environmental Commission reminds us that this weekend is the town-wide yard sale. On Saturday the 30th, Madison and the Chathams are going green by inviting residents to host yard sales on the same day. The rain date will be Sunday, October 1st. You can list your sale with a $10 tax-deductible donation to the Great Swamp Watershed Association. The deadline to get on the digital map is tomorrow, September 28th at 12 p.m. Go to greatswamp.org/events to register your sale, and you can view that same page on September 29th for a digital map of all the yard sale participants and a list of items for sale. Speaking of Bottle Hill Day, the Environmental Commission is hosting a table at Bottle Hill Day on October 7th. They will be giving away native pollinator seeds to support habitat restoration and our native birds and butterflies. The Madison Beekeeping Club will be selling honey at the MEC table to raise money to buy pollinator seeds for the meadow at the Madison Recreation Complex. Sustainable Madison and the Climate Action Committee will be co-hosting a Bottle Hill Day table in the train station parking lot. Several electric vehicles will be on display, including a Ford 150 Lightning pickup. Visitors can play eco games and sample Daddy Maddie's chili served from an induction cooktop that is powered from the all-electric F-150. It's eco chili. Steel Power will be at the booth to provide information about Madison's program of subsidized home energy efficiency audits, and committee members will be available to provide information about sustainability activities in Madison, as well as solar power, electric vehicles, home energy efficiency, and climate resiliency. Thank you, Mayor.
I can't resist, so I assume that's gasless chili.
Oh.
That's right.
Sorry.
All electric.
With that, utilities, Mr. Landrigan.
You know, it's hard to follow a line like Echo Chili, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, from the electric department, on Thursday, September 14th, the entire town lost power. JCP&L dropped the 2 feeder lines that supply electric to our substations. The crews immediately went to the substations and waited for JCP&L to reestablish power. Once the power was back on, the crews performed a series of switching procedures to bring the substations back online. On Sunday, September 17th, the standby crews called out for no power on the Park Avenue circuit. The outage was caused by a squirrel. The same day, the crew was called to a down line in the road that had been broken by a passing truck. The department is close to completing the downtown Victorian lamp post upgrade to LED lights. And finally, the department is in the process of scheduling the underground fiber line pull from the James Park substation to the Kings Road substation. Okay, from the water department, a fire hydrant was replaced on Woodland Road at the intersection with Delwood Road. The existing hydrant had been rendered inoperable due to a motor vehicle accident. The water department personnel completed CPR training for the AED for both children and adults. The 3 emergency water interconnections with New Jersey American Water were inspected and tested for service. And finally, the Madison Water Department's annual fire hydrant and water main flushing program has begun and is estimated to last 6 weeks. They'd like to remind residents that while hydrant flushing typically will not interrupt water service, residents may notice a temporary drop in water pressure while crews are working in their area. There's also the possibility that the water may become temporarily discolored. This is normal. The discolored water does not pose a health hazard. If discolored water occurs, simply run the cold water for a few minutes until it clears. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Safety, Mr. Range.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Police Department, the Madison Police Department command staff personnel are currently meeting with the county and state representatives to explore implementing a response program to utilize social workers and mental health screeners in addition to police officers to handle calls for patients in crisis in Madison. This has been a priority of Chief Misha's to equip officers with tools to effectively get the best care and services for patients in crisis. I'm going to thank the Chief and the administration for the support in this important initiative. Anti-idling educational pamphlets have been deployed and developed, and Madison Police Department staff have been working with Sustainable Madison to meet with drivers to better educate them on idling at schools and businesses in town. Madison Police staff met today with Madison Public School administrators for their monthly security meeting. Discussions included safety protocols and improvements at our schools and best practices to keep our schools safe and secure. And from the fire department, the fire department is 7 calls away from their busiest month in history, recorded history anyway. So far in the month of September, the fire department has responded to 21 general alarms, 31 still alarms, 31 investigations, and 55 medical calls. That's a total of 138. And with 3 days to go, they're only 7 calls away from that busiest month. Fire Prevention Month is the month of October, so coming up. With the colder months ahead, we start to heat our homes. It's important to remember fire safety. Make sure your heating devices are working properly and your chimney is clean. Now is the time to start replacing batteries and old detectors that are beyond their useful life. New smoke and carbon monoxide detectors come with a 10-year battery and should be changed on that schedule. And both the fire department and police departments are looking forward to supporting Bottle Hill Day for a great Madison event. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Health, Mr. Harold Lucas.
Thank you, Mayor. The Board of Health Committee has their next meeting on Monday, October 2nd, so we don't have too much to report right now. We are circulating information to the borough about our blood pressure screening, which is available on October 4th here in this building. Anybody can walk in from 11 to 2 o'clock. There is some rabies information circulating around the borough. You can find that on our website on the Board of Health, talking about what the signs are and what to do to prevent yourself from hopefully not getting bit by rabies. West Nile virus is ending now since the summer is passing, but there's still a chance that people could be infected, so there's also some information circulating around about that. There's going to be a Board of Health officer around Bottle Hill Day who is going to be inspecting the food vendors to make sure that they're all compliant for what the borough codes are to operate in a festival environment serving food. And we have also launched our anti-idling campaign in the borough, we organized an anti-idling committee with MEC, the Sustainable Jersey, Kathy Cacavalli. Bridget Daly was a co-chair with myself, a tremendous asset. We have started advising the public schools about the dangers of idling and what is the ordinances and state laws about idling violations. And we are starting to hand out rewards tickets. So the police officers have been given a ticket they will hand to any parents who are following the anti-idling rules, and the recipient of this ticket gets to go to Madison Bagel and get a free coffee and bagel and cream cheese. So there's going to be about 500 of those to hand out, and so far we only started this week, and I think we've given out about a dozen at all the drop-offs and waiting areas around the schools. We also have had the Borough Recreation head send a notice to all participants in youth sports that the parents are not to idle around the borough facilities at any time, also advising them about the threats and the damage to health of youth and adults in our environment for idling. There's more to come. We're going to work on the commercial businesses in town now also. And that's it from me, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Finance and Borough Clerk, Mr. Forte.
Thank you, Mayor. From the tax collector, a reminder to our residents that the Senior Freeze PTR application deadline is November 1st. Any seniors who have not done so should bring their forms to the tax office by October 31st. Please contact the tax collector's office if you have any questions. From the Finance Department, on Friday, September 15th, the Borough wired $3,941,111.67 to the Board of Education. This is the monthly amount that is required to cover their operations and debt. Supplemental debt statement. The Board of Education contacted the Finance Department regarding their bond referendum. Every January, the Borough issues an annual debt statement which summarizes the debt of the Borough and the Board of Education and compares it to the total equalized assessed rateable base in the Borough. When either the Borough or Board of Education authorize the issuance of debt, a supplemental debt statement must be prepared. That document has been posted on Rosenet. Budget season is here. It's hard to believe that budget season is here. This week, the administration has been meeting with various department heads to review their operating budgets. This is an important first step in building the budget. Department heads have been asked to keep their budgets flat for 2024. In addition to the operating budget, administration is working with the borough engineer and department heads on the 5-year capital plan. Administration has sent over a draft 5-year capital plan to each department head. These documents will be discussed in the coming weeks, and we hope to have a 5-year capital plan presentation before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on to communications and petitions.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor and Council received an email dated September the 14th from Daniel Lamana of Niles Avenue regarding borough trees. Another email on September the 21st from Trudell Artiglaire of Main Street, raising concern for the use of the title of Madison as the Rose City. And another email dated September the 25th from Claire Whitcomb of Fairwood Road and the Friends of the Drew Forest, listing the essential facts about the forest.
Thank you. We now move on to the first of 2 invitations for public comment. This one is limited to items on our agenda discussion and also resolutions that are listed in our consent agenda. I'll go through those items shortly, but what I will also do today, because I know some people made a special trip today, is we'll consider the Drew Forest as one of our agenda discussions, so if you want to comment that, you can do so in this first comment round. The other things you may comment on are the municipal engineering projects update. And these are the resolutions that are part of the consent agenda. Resolution 258, approving salary increase for Sarah Murphy, reflecting that she's attained her tax collector certification. The new salary is $64,525. Resolution 259 is authorizing use of competitive contracting process for emergency medical billing. This is part of one of the, as I mentioned in my open comments, we've got a few things related to restructuring of ENT services. This, if we move forward, would allow for what is known as soft billing, which would mean that an EMT response would be billed to your insurance company but only be paid if it's covered by insurance. Resolution 260, confirming membership of Ms. Flor Maria Della Rosa in the Madison Hose Company number 1. She represents the second woman to be a volunteer firefighter in the hose company and our first African-American woman in the hose company. So we welcome her aboard. For everyone's records, Resolution 261 has been pulled and will be coming back later after rebidding. Resolution 262 is awarding contract for the purchase of 2 EVSCO EV fast chargers to EVSCO LLC of Reno, Nevada, the amount of $205,952, and this is being funded through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's It Pays to Plug In program. Resolution 263 is the insertion of items into our budget based on grants receiving. There's a $6,610 adjustment and also an $8,262 adjustment based on a MASA grant. Resolution 264 is authorizing renewal of rental agreement for the use of the portion of the public safety complex by American Automobile Association for defensive driving instruction. Resolution 265 is approving the 5K run fun walk in Madison on Saturday, November 4th, sponsored by Tori J. Sabatini, PTO. So you may comment on those resolutions. The engineer project update for the Drew Forest. As always, we will have later in the meeting another comment period when you may comment on any topic. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward, state your name, your address, write the same on the clipboard. When you start speaking, I will start the timer. We ask you to try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but we give you a 1-minute grace period, and we'll stop you at 4 minutes. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. But also, another reminder is after you state your name and address, state the topic you are addressing. No, I'm just, it's not an official agenda item. I'm just adding it just to allow comments earlier than normal, but you can comment now or you can comment later, whichever. So anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting, and we'll come and you'll be able to comment a little bit later on. And now we move on to agenda discussions. Bob Vogel, update on all the projects going on.
Hello, everyone. As is customary this time of year, end of the summer comes around, budget season started. We like to do a quick recap of public construction projects that happened during the summer and set ourselves up for the fall. With that, Michael has done a nice PowerPoint for you to see some pretty pictures about what's been accomplished. And we start off with the road resurfacing program, which amounted to mostly mill and overlay for the summer. That was awarded to companies including Schifano Construction, Riverview Construction, Denville Line Striping, Garden State Signage, and Madison Police was the last contract. So we had affected Woodland Road, about 50% of Woodland Road. All of Garfield Avenue was completed, Myrtle Avenue was completed, Trail Place was completed. So in total, it was 1.7 miles. 5.8 acres, and 3,400 tons of new asphalt. And that was accomplished all under Ordinance 8-2023 for $750,000. We also received an NJDOT reimbursable grant for $200,000. And the project had come in on time and under budget for the summer, so that project seemed to work out pretty well. Item number 2, Mike? Green Avenue, yep. The pedestrian improvement project, which everybody has more or less tripped over right next to Harley Dodge Memorial here. We did bump outs for 2 intersections at Wilmer Street and on Hillside Avenue. That project was bid and awarded to a Riverview Construction and came down to about 1,000 linear feet of curb, 150 square yards of sidewalk, 6 of those rapid flash beacons, and 3,000 square yards and 400 tons of asphalt. And that project was also completed pretty much on time and under budget for the summer. That was covered by Ordinance 41-2022 and under $300,000. And we also received an NJDOT grant from municipal aid for 2021. So it's a little bit late in delivery, but the DOT has not given us any warnings on that whatsoever. And that grant match from the state was $192,000. So, reasonable project, reasonable price as far as the Borough of Madison is concerned. Next one is the pretty one, our MRC basketball courts and multi-purpose courts that went in behind the tennis courts at the Board of Education property at Madison High School. That project was bid and awarded to Halcon Construction this summer, and that was started off in May of this year. And Halcon went forward and did the grading, and they put down a tremendous amount of stone base and asphalt, and resurfaced the asphalt. As you can see, it's got sports surfacing on the top, and I've had many people comment at this stage of the game that it's a beautiful setting, which I didn't really anticipate when we get started. It was just, I wasn't sure about, throwing a basketball court behind the tennis courts in the woods somewhere where, it seemed a little remote in a way, but honest to God, everyone just loves it as far as the setting. It's a nice recreational facility in the middle of the woods. So very happy with the way that turned out. I think it appears nice at this stage of the game. The pickleball courts and nets have been put in. The basketball courts and nets have been put in, and the cross courts for basketball. So we have actually 6 basketball hoops on that one location. So maybe a little bit overdone from that perspective, but it sure looks nice, and I think it's very playable. So that worked out well. The cost of that project via Ordinance 9-2023 and 34-2023 was $330,000. It's 80% only because at this stage of the game, delivery of lighting equipment and materials has been delayed. Not uncommon. You hear a lot of that from electrical equipment providers at this stage of the game. And so Halcon is still working with Quality Electrical, and this Quality Electrical is a good subcontract. They did the MRC for us and did the Musco lights over at MRC. So very good subcontractor, but not delivering things on time as far as the contract's concerned. So they're looking at November to get the lights up, and we've talked with Jim Mattina in-house, see if he could do some temporary lighting for us in the meantime, but as it stands, we haven't quite resolved that issue yet as far as the contract's concerned. But I see Quality coming and going in 2 or 3 days to get their lights installed. It's just a matter of getting our hands on them. And so apologize for that, but by the same token, I think Halcon did a bang-up job on the MRC multi-purpose courts. Next project, Memorial Park Trails Improvements. That was bid and awarded to Clark Moynihan Landscape Contractors. That was via Resolution 90-2023. As you can see, there's a lot of boardwalk, 700 feet of boardwalk, and about, I believe, 2,000 feet of 6-foot wide stone dust trail that's been established in Memorial Park. At this stage of the game, it's in an advanced state of completion. There's been a couple of washouts, which are not unusual for a trails project, and so we have to address those with Clark Moynihan before we let them go. So there's a couple of small change orders on the way, but again, pretty much on time as far as that contract is concerned, pretty much on budget. And I think if you look at the quality of construction with regards to those boardwalks, you'll think that it's very substantial. It's not going anywhere, and it's going to last a good long time for the community. So nicely done by Clark Moynihan Contractors. So punch lists and final payments could be anticipated on that project this fall, but overall, on time, on budget, looks good. Next one is Dodge Field, the accessible playground. This one I don't have any hurrahs on as far as the schedule is concerned. I mean, We've gone through better part of the year with co-op contracts, getting them awarded to Ben Schaefer Associates. It's a state contract. I'm sorry, it's a cooperative contract, but it's actually a state contract. And getting that project launched has taken some real time and energy with them. You know, our last report from Ben Schaefer was that they would be able to break ground in October, and they've kind of reneged on that because they felt that getting the final rubberized surface is very temperature and weather dependent, and they didn't want to be constructing into the winter where finishing the project would be threatened. And so what they've decided to do, based on a meeting we had this morning, Mr. Cody was there as well, is push that to February of next year, 2024, and hopefully get that project wrapped up in a 3-month time period, 90 days, probably 6 weeks worth of construction over a 90-day period, starting in February next year. That gives them the ability to start putting the rubberized surface down, which again is weather and temperature dependent, as it's 40 degrees and rising at the Dodge Field location. And so that is their best pitch at this stage of the game. And you know, it was a bit of an upset for us, easily awarded contract, but a significant amount of money at $660,000. So we really did expect better response time for them for this fall, but being that they were not able to come through on that particular issue, they will finish it up in early spring, hopefully ahead of, you know, May, spring season when the kids really start going out and wanting to enjoy these things. So Dodge Field Playground hasn't been shelved, it's just been delayed a bit, and we will do everything we can to bring it home on time and on budget next year. Cook Avenue parking lot. Similarly, difficult project contractually because we've had to bid it essentially 3 times. If it was a negotiable transaction from day one, I'm sure we'd be done by now. But it's not. It's local public contracts law, and we have to go in a very prescribed procedure, and a 100-year-old procedure at that stage, at that as well. It's not new. It's a bit bureaucratic, and so in order to do things right, and according to state law, we have not been able to award a contract for Cook Avenue parking lot yet. However, after 2 bids, we are in a position to negotiate with the lowest bidder or someone who's willing to throw a bid at us below the lowest bidder. And so we've been doing that via email and telephone calls over the last month or so. And we believe we have identified a contractor that will get the work done at a lower price than the lowest bid. However, the summer is lost. We're talking again about next year in terms of construction. We're talking about a significant add because we had to bid it so many times. We kept missing the budget and the estimates that were done by our consultants. It's just administratively been a nightmare. And so we're going to wind up having to make a decision on Cook Avenue parking lot in the next month or so as to whether we go back out to bid again with a reduced scope on the project, or we try to figure out at $1.4 million at the lowest bid, well, whether we can afford to move forward and through additional appropriations and get that work started. All the contractors that came back with a second price were very interested that the pressure was off. When we bid it in May, it was a complicated project to do at the very beginning of the summer, and most of them had actually put in bids for other projects at that stage of the game, so very hard to award a contract that worked for them at a reasonable price. At this stage of the game, they have more time, they should be more negotiable, and we should be able to get it done for less. But again, the only other decision is go back out to bid with a reduced scope and hope we get closer to our original budget numbers, which started off at $800,000. So, yeah, Ordinance 12 and 13-2023 had appropriated $800,000 for their project. And that was directly based on our consultant estimates. The last one on the list, Mike, is Waverly Place. Kirsten Osterkorn had done some surveys on this a couple years ago. We immediately went out to Bowler Engineering and Planning to do some planning analysis and studies for us for alternatives. Those planning alternatives have not generated a single plan that everyone loves. Getting consensus on this has been an extreme challenge, as the mayor can attest firsthand. He's been involved quite a bit from the start. And similarly, that was a $1.2 million project on its initial estimates. So the scare is that, with the bidding environment the way it is, you're going up as far as getting an all-inclusive project like it is, with historic lighting and the replacement granite curbs and a really nice set of redone sidewalks and improved circulation, new trees all the way up and down. It's going to be an expensive project, no matter what we do, and probably getting the right plan and getting everyone's consensus and agreement that this is the best plan for the town is the best way to proceed from here. And I believe we are off till 2025 at this stage of the game. Unfortunately, we have a grant from the state of New Jersey for $360,000 thereabouts dollars, which we may need to either get an extension on or perhaps reapply for another grant round. But the state was very interested in helping us get this work done, and so I don't believe that interest has gone away. They would love to see it happen. It's just unfortunate that we weren't able to come up with a consensus plan that worked for everybody immediately. So that is my perspective on Waverly, and you may have others, so there may be a discussion item on that.
So we'll have
move forward, right?
Yep, some discussion. Just to a couple of things on Waverly. Number one is the day we have a project that everyone loves is the day I get my hearing checked.
There you go.
So, we recognize that when you look at various options, whether it's Waverly, Cook, or even as I sat down with some residents on a potential sidewalk on their street, there's never a project everyone loves, and our goal is to what works for the greater good. And so we're going to use this extra time with Waverly to really analyze what will work for the greater good. One of the proposals is squeezing the travel lanes, and so we're working on the analysis of what that does for deliveries, which, as I've said, deliveries is one thing, but it's a manageable thing because you pretty much have the same UPS driver every time and so on. You can try to direct them. But the other thing is related to if you have squeezed the parallel parking and you have what I call hard lines, parallel parking on Main Street, you can illegally go over the double yellow to pass a parallel parked car, but here you may not be able to pass a car that's trying to parallel park. So we're going to do all that analysis so we can make sure when we come back we can share it with everyone. Other comments or questions for Bob? So not on Waverly from you, though.
No. Oh, just on Waverly?
No, I'm just saying, Tom, you have to recuse yourself from anything on Waverly. So
Anything you do on Waverly.
but you can comment on anything else. So.
Okay. That's why we don't want to hear me say anything about Waverly. On the pickleball courts, Bob, and the basketball courts, which is fantastic that we got that done. It's a nice addition to adult recreation and also youth recreation. Jim Burnett, was there a little grant money from the NBA to help pay for that too? Has that been finalized? It's working? They're going to help with some of the. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we mentioned too that they participated, the Madison Basketball Association. And I think they also helped coordinate some of the work that you did, but you spent a lot of time on it. It's going to be really good. You're going to have to go play there.
Well, it was prioritized. I'll give you that.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot. And Mr. Councilman Landrigan also. Thanks.
But just in terms of wrapping things up, if I could, there's two good contracts that are just being let here for the fall. One is the electric utility roof. which Jimmy Mattina is going to be working with our design consultant, Helena Ruman, to finish. And Wellbe Renovations has a new contract with VNL Construction. Both of those projects were bid twice and negotiated for a solution, so administratively, very heavy lift this year, but thank goodness we've gotten through that part and gotten the contracts awarded for the fall and winter, and hope to see those finished before next summer. And the last item that we finished up this spring was the sewer lining contract with Morris County Community Development Block Grant Program. So we got a mile of sewer lined and 15 manholes as well. And that's all I have.
Yep, sorry to cut you short. To know there was another slide.
Yep.
Other comments or questions? Rachel?
Thanks, Bob. That was a great presentation. Thanks, Michael, for the great photos. I just wanted to comment on the Green Avenue pedestrian bump outs. There's been a lot of discussion about bump outs in this setting and others. And I think one of the great outcomes of that discussion is that the design for the Green Avenue bump outs is really successful. The bump outs, reduce crossing time and crossing distance for safer pedestrian crossing on a busy avenue. But they also preserve a 3-foot bike lane because the bump outs don't go all the way to the travel lane. So cyclists, people riding bikes on Green Avenue can continue without having to go into the vehicle lane. So I think it's been a successful design and project. I think in Complete Streets, we talked about other ways to make those bump outs visible. Perhaps we could include some plantings there to help drivers see the bump outs and enhance visibility as well as the beauty of that corner. And to me, it just points to the process improving every time we do one of these. So thank you for your attention to those details and changes, Bob.
The design has been refined since Prospect Street, I will say that.
As you can say, Prospect, for those that know, Prospect was our first set of bump outs, and we learned a lot.
We did.
Other comments or questions for Bob? Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We now move on for ordinance to the hearing. Will the clerk please read the statement?
The ordinances scheduled for hearing were introduced by title and passed on the first reading at the regular meeting of the council held on September 11, 2023. Were posted and filed according to law, and copies were made available to the general public requesting same.
I call up ordinance for second reading and ask the clerk to read said ordinance by title. Ordinance 45-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison rescinding Chapter 195-42 of the Borough Code entitled Appeals, permitting review by the Borough Council of Planning Board final decisions.
I open the hearing on ordinance 45. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 45-2023.
Second.
Any council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Pudis?
Abstain from voting?
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 45-2023 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. Ordinance 46-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $275,000 from the Electric Capital Improvement Fund for the purchase of 5 new pad mount transformers and accessories.
Open hearing on ordinance 46. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 46-2023.
Second.
Any council discussion? Tom?
So, Mayor, what are these new transformers going to provide to our electric grid? You know? Jim? Upgrade?
The transformers are identified to be used to go into inventory because they take 9 months to 12 months to secure. So these are identified to be backups in the event that we have issues at any of the existing public schools.
Okay. Thanks, Ray.
And also part of the capital.
Got it.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Pudis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 46-2023 adopted and finally passed. Publish the notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. Ordinance 47-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison amending Chapter 34 of the Borough Code entitled Police Department establishing a procedure for acting appointments and hiring of police officers.
Open hearing on ordinance 47. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 47-2023.
Second?
Council discussion. Eric, you want to just cover what you covered last meeting?
Yeah, as noted on introduction, this ordinance updates our procedures that provides the police chief and others a little bit of additional paths when hiring police officers. Right now, we go to people who are currently enrolled in some of the academies, Morris County Academy, the Essex County Academy. This provides the ability for us to hire the officer, put them through the academy ourselves, so allows other avenues for hiring.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Putis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 47-2023 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. Ordinance 48-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison amending Chapter 185 of the Borough Code, Schedule 16, entitled Speed Limits to reduce the speed limit on Kings Road.
Open the hearing on ordinance 48. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 48-2023.
Second?
Any council discussion?
Just, we heard from Captain Longo at the last meeting. He gave us a presentation on the traffic study that was done here, so this will consistently make the speed limit all the way from the Chatham border all the way through downtown, 25 miles an hour. So.
And, Rachel?
I just want to add that this was an example of great interdepartmental committee and residential collaboration. This issue was raised by a Kings Road resident who spoke for a number of residents about the concerns with speeding and safety on Kings Road. The police department conducted the speed study in response. Complete Streets discussed this together with the borough engineer and the administration. And I think it just shows a great example of working together across different groups in town to get some good work done. So it was a great process, and I'm really glad to see that we're going to be having a safer speed limit on a residential road.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Putis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 48-2023 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. We are now on to our second of two invitations for public comment. This is when you may comment on any topic. The other rules apply. That is, when you step forward, please state your name and address. Write the same on the clipboard. Try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but we will give you that 1 minute grace and ask you to stop at 4 minutes. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Yes, this is, you may comment on any topic,
Okay,
including the one on your shirt if you.
I am not unique in having that on my shirt. Okay, my name is Claire Whitcomb. I'm at 12 Fairwood Road. Regarding the discussion that was transpired tonight, I'm going to ask the question I always ask when we say pickleball. I say trees, and I feel like the borough should somehow address how the tree replacement for those, to follow the shade tree ordinance, and how what the borough is planning for that, because I know money was allocated in the capital budget to replace those trees. Regarding Waverly Place, I think one of the unappreciated assets of that is the stormwater management and the tree pits that will help mitigate runoff in that part of the town. And I also want to mention that the yard sale, thank you for the shout out. Friends of the Drew Forest is having a yard sale to raise money for the forest. Happens to be at my house. There's stuff arriving on my porch to my husband's distress. But it's going to be great. So check out the map. Michael's going to post it, and it's going to be great. I wanted to welcome Dr. Link to Madison. Lydia Chambers and I were really fortunate to have coffee with her at Sunday Motor Co. We were super impressed. We had a really, the provost was there, Jessica Lakin, and I'm going to tell you some things I wrote to her after the meeting. I think that her leadership offers a unique opportunity for Drew and for Madison. I told her that, and I said, the more that I think about our conversation, the more convinced I am that you should embrace the conservation sale. This is the grant before the county, the money raised by, earmarked from Senator Booker and Mikey Sherrill, and the hard work the borough has done to try and find public funding. The reason is that it will bring you gifts. Think of all the people who have lined up to make this conservation sale happen. Cory Booker is an urban senator. He lives in Newark. His office had no clue about Drew or the forest, but now he has a stake in the university. Michael Sherrill said to me, call me if there's anything I can do for the forest. She's initiated that conversation. I did not. Think of all the environmental groups that have lined up to support the forest. Had they heard about Drew and its forest restoration? No. But now they know all about it. These advocates range from local organizations to major national figures like Doug Tallamy. Lydia and I were on a Madison-sponsored Zoom with Tallamy to talk about his best-selling book, Nature's Best Hope. We asked him if he would make a video statement about the forest. He said yes. This never happens. It's a simple fact that the Drew Forest has acquired a huge and prominent following. It was even mentioned at our lawyer Ed Lloyd's funeral, attended by every legal and environmental luminary in the state. What can you do? 1 minute? Okay. What can you do with that kind of capital? Turn it into fundraising. By conserving the forest, you will have environmental and political allies who have a personal stake in your future. Let's see. You'll be the hero who saves the forest and has a dream of a future-forward landscape on campus. You already have a meadow and a dorm with geothermal energy. The support that exists for the forest could put you on the map, both with donors and prospective students. You're the university in the forest. Own it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claire. Just one follow-up, Bob, maybe for a report, your report to Rachel at the next meeting, maybe if you could have a plan for the tree replacements, as Claire mentioned it, the tree removal, we had money put in there for tree replacement, so we will make sure we can report back on that. Would that be?
It's calculated according to the ordinance once it's already there.
Yeah, so, but just the overall, I think what the plan is and if we know where the trees are going and so on. And just a reminder on protocol we have here. Claire's message was great, and we like the applause, but I just request that you hold applause, because if you're the one speaker that doesn't get applause, it hurts you. So just hold it back, and maybe we'll have one, if necessary, one single applause at the end. Chris, come on forward.
Okay, give me a second. Nice to see you, Mayor and Council, again, and old friend Nick. Thank you for your long, dedicated, effective service to this wonderful building. I just came tonight because of the mailing sent out by Drew. I just wanted to be here and see what happened. Nothing's happened.
In your thank yous, we forgot to get name and address. So.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wrote it down. Christine Hepburn, 1 Lightning Bug Hollow Road, Hardwick, New Jersey, but formerly 69 Glenwild, the Zuck House. Okay, so I came here because it's a postcard. Nothing has really come up, but I do want, there's two things I would like to address from that postcard and related information. Drew is asking everyone to ask you to give them a fair market price for their forest. I just want to say what a brilliant boss I once had would always say to me, Chris, don't you come on here using that four-letter F word. Then that being fair. What is a fair market value? I mean, it depends on the zoning, and it boggles my mind that people as intelligent as they must be to work at Drew University don't understand that they are not completely in charge of upzoning their property, as none of us are. The other thing is, if you go to the website that's referred to, it's just called Protecting the Forests, I think. There's just one thing that's been confusing a lot of people. I saw they talked about the ideal of selling to Madison, preserving the entire forest, and then developing 2 parcels nearer to Madison. Then on frequently asked questions on what lands will be saved, it then just says, well, the Zuck Arboretum and a dell, a sloped area near an aquifer will be preserved. So I don't quite understand what that leaves with leaves for the rest of the forest in their plan. But also, the really confusing thing is aquifer recharge takes place in the entire forest. The entire forest, the dells no more than the rest, are classified because it's a natural land without impervious coverage and in its natural state are classified as our highest recharge, and that's the whole forest. So not that one dell, and there's actually at least 3 dells. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for making the trip again. Anyone else wishing to be heard, please step forward.
Mr. Mayor, and to the council, I'm Hillary Link, 40 Woodcliff Drive. First of all, I want to say I'm really happy to be here. I've heard from a lot of people that there has not been a steady presence of the president of Drew University at council meetings and in Madison, and I hope that some of the efforts that I've made over I've been here now 3.5 months, that's it, are starting to show that I really do mean that I want to rebuild the relationship with Madison. Honestly, I was here to listen, and I wanted to sort of hear from people and get to know people, and I'm happy to meet many of you. I've actually had the opportunity to meet a number of people already in the audience through meetings that I've been hosting, both at the president's house and around town. And I just want to say that I'm really looking forward to working with the mayor, working with Mr. Cody, and working to find a solution that we can all feel positive about. I want to say that Drew really does want to save the forest. But I, as the president, am responsible for ensuring that Drew has a viable future. And that is something that we can all come to an agreement on together. We have a really long history together, Drew and Madison, and we have a really long future. And I'm here to try to rebuild the future, and I look forward to doing that with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for carving out time to come out here tonight.
Kathleen Cacavalli, 82 Central Avenue, Madison. I just wanted to make a comment sort of similar to Claire's, which is I saw in the presentation from Bob Vogel that you're reviewing the drawings for Cook Avenue Plaza parking lot. I'm sorry?
Make sure you're talking.
Yeah. And I just want to make sure that the rain gardens that were planned are not sacrificed in reviewing the drawings, because we need more, not fewer, green infrastructure projects in the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. I think Bob, you can correct me, I think one of the major cost items is the burying of the utilities, and so that may be something we may have to look at as opposed to, as you said, our effort to capture and clean stormwater and recharge, especially as we talk about the Drew Forest. It's a good time to make sure we take care of other parts of the town, too. Anyone else wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting, and we now move on to introduction of ordinances. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Yes, the ordinance is scheduled for first reading, have a hearing date set for October the 23rd, 2023. All will be published in the Madison Eagle, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the public requesting copies.
I call up ordinances for first reading and ask the Borough Clerk to read said ordinance by title. Ordinance 49-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison, amending Chapter 94, Appendix C of the Borough Code entitled Electric Department Rules and Regulations regarding additions and alterations.
Mayor, I move ordinance 49-2023.
Second?
And this is related to those that install solar panels on their homes, make sure they follow proper procedures, and if they don't, it makes fines very clear. As it said entire solar system, so I didn't know whether that included Pluto or not, but anyway, any further discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Putis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Ordinance 50-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $325,000 from the Electric Capital Improvement Fund for the purchase of new Freightliner single bucket truck and accessories.
Mayor, I move ordinance 50-2023.
Second?
Council discussion? Tom?
I always have a question, right? So we're replacing one that we have now, or this is going to be a new apparatus? Right, I remember reading that. So does it have any value, Ray? Do you do anything with it, or you just keep it as a backup? Yeah, okay, but something, a few dollars. Okay, thank you.
And it's also, as all these capital appropriations are, it's part of the capital budget.
Yeah, it's already in there from last year.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Putis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Ordinance 51-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $150,000 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for funding of a 2022 Ford E450 Horton 553 Type 3 ambulance.
Mayor, I move ordinance 51-2023.
Second?
Council discussion? Again, as mentioned in my opening comments, this is taking over the paying out the loan on the ambulance that the ambulance corps had purchased to ease them of the financing. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Putis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
All right, we move on to consent agenda resolutions. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolutions 258-2023 and through 260-2023 and 262-2023 through 265-2023.
Second.
Any council discussion or any that need to be pulled?
So the superchargers that we're installing, I think that's a great move because we obviously have a lot more EVs around town, and there's going to be situations where people need to get some extra power. The borough buys these, we have them installed, and then we sell the electricity to our own electric utility. So all we're doing is buying these units from this company, Vesco. Right. Where are they going, Mayor? I should know that, but I don't know where they're going. Oh, it's under, that's why I don't know. Of course. Okay,
And funded through the Pays to Plug-in grant. And
good point.
there was a lower bidder, but they were eliminated because of the fact that it has to be credit card, not only signing up, but the option to use a credit card to purchase, and the low bid did not meet that criteria, so this is the lowest one. Any further comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Raines?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
There is no unfinished business. Approval of vouchers. Will the clerk please read the voucher totals?
From the current fund, $4,306,852.90. From the general capital improvement, from the general capital fund, $107,119.60. From the electric operating fund, $571,001.81. From the water operating fund, $32,947.76. From the water capital fund, $15,876 even, and from the trust, $19,464.23. The total is $5,053,262.30.
Mayor, I move payment of the vouchers.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Raines?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
And Mr. Forte.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Thank you all that came out tonight. Great to see you.